Hey everyone, my name is Jared from Buck and Bull Model Trains, and I'm really excited to welcome you to the 7th episode of DCC Fridays. It's been going for a little while now, and I'm looking this week to get down really practical and to have a look at my favorite and kind of most useful and handy tools that I want to kind of recommend for decoder installation. So anything involving installing non-sound decoders, sound decoders, anything to do with fitting decoders into locomotives in model railways. So let's get started. What will I start with? I will start, my absolute go-to tool has got to be a good pair of tweezers or three. I've got this really great quite old pair of tweezers that I actually inherited. Very, very fine. These are great for getting into really tight spaces. Now, like I do a lot of installs in N scale stuff, so this is all quite small kind of work, but nevertheless, I think it's still pretty useful. These are really, really small tipped tweezers. You have to be careful with these not to kind of damage them or bend them, so you can't go really crazy with them. They're great. I've got just a really standard pair of tweezers. These have got a good kind of groove on the inside of them, so they grip things really well. And also these are a really great investment, kind of reverse tweezers, I guess you call them. There might be a better kind of official name, but you push down on them and they open instead of closing. So that's really good for holding, like soldering things in place, that sort of thing. It's excellent. So yeah, tweezers, they're great. A good kind of like hobby knife can be helpful at times, maybe. Probably a less useful tool. Another tool that I use are my fingers, and you might be going, great, that's a great tool. But actually I'll pull up the wire for this, what I'm talking about. I use my fingers, all the decoders I get in, the Zimo decoders and previously the CT electronic decoders that I'm sort of still trying to supply, but there's some difficulty there. They all kind of come fit with Brawa I think it's now about 0.05 millimeter square wire, I believe is the classification of it. Basically the thinnest stuff that Brawa make. It's fantastic wire. I actually recommend you buy some Brawa wire and have it spare. I've got these 3 colors here because I use that a bit with these colors for capacitors, adding them in because that often needs a lot of extra wire. It doesn't come on the decoder, and black wire is always great for hiding things everywhere. But this back I keep getting sidetracked. Back to my fingers. This wire, the reason I really like this wire, other than its flexibility, is fantastic. It's durable. I can't tell you how many times I've built and scaled kits and things myself personally for my own hobby construction, and I've put this wire in places, pulled the thing apart a million times, crashed it in places, and it still holds up and doesn't break. So it's pretty good. But you can also, the thing I love most about it is you can strip it with your fingertips, with your fingernails, maybe with your fingertips if you're super lucky, but no, you need to get your fingernails in there, and it was just as simple as that. And I've actually stripped that easy. We don't have to buy any wire stripping tools or any rubbish like that. So yes, fingernails and fingers, excellent tools for stripping back the wire. Wire itself, very good. Once you've stripped your wire and you're going to solder it, I have started getting into a little bit more proper soldering and actually putting the solder there, getting the iron on the other side of the wire and getting it to solder through with the flux in the solder. But I have over the years very successfully used these flux pens. So I get the wire, put the bit of exposed wire on my fingertip and just dab it with this pen, and then you bring over the soldering iron already actually with a bit of solder on it. And this is, a very, very tinning, very fine wire. Touch the soldering iron, the flux, burns away with the soldering iron. The solder flows on beautifully in approximately 1 second. So if you're hardwiring in a decoder with 6 wires or whatever, it's a matter of just stripping all of them, flux pen all of them, and it's done. Like, it's that simple. So flux pen is a very good investment. You can also use it in other uses with soldering, all sorts of things to your heart's content. It's excellent. Another tool or tools that is very useful are screwdriver, mini screwdriver things. A very simple one is very good. I've had this one for a long time. It's literally like a $10 Bunnings rubbish one or something. It's perfect. It has a whole bunch of different interchangeable heads, Phillips heads, flat heads. It's pretty much all we need. That's perfect. This one I came across on the diesel era modelers group, I'm pretty sure. There's a few of these going around now on eBay and the likes. It's kind of an electronic screwdriver, and I have actually found it pretty useful. It's got a little LED in it. If you need to see more, I guess, it lights it up. And it actually came with 100 different little bits. It was quite extensive, so that was pretty good. And I found this quite useful on a lot of sort of ready to run models where you've got a lot of sort of nice easy screws to undo. You can just sort of rip through them all with this, get it biting in there, pull it out. Makes life very easy. Particularly useful in N scale, very specifically for removing microtrans couplers, which sometimes you got to take the whole screw out, and if you can be there screwing for like a good 20 seconds, it just once you can carefully manually undo the screw a little bit with this, and then just turn it, and it'll just hold nice and steady, and just come out beautifully. So very good tool actually, very handy. Another thing, another tool. These are, I believe, like Photoetch cutters. Officially, they're a Xuron tool. You can get sort of other no-name brand versions of these, but these are very, very good. Good for getting into tight spaces. Cut the decoder, cut all sorts of things I'm not supposed to with it. You can't cut anything like really hard with it because it'll damage the blades, because they're only sort of for softer stuff. But yeah, some sort of nips like this that you can get in places are really handy. And I should also not forget Captain tape. Very, very good. Very, very useful. Anywhere where you basically need a sticky tape in there to tape down wires or anything, Captain tape. Electrically insulating an area that the decoder is going to sit in, Captain tape. Wrapping decoders themselves, if they come bare without any wrapping on them, or maybe they come with like some of the Zimmo ones do, with sort of a quite thick wrapping on them, you can very carefully remove the thick wrapping and replace it with thinner wrapping, which might be helpful. But yeah, any case where you need basically the roll of a tape, you need to insulate something and it's inside of the locomotive and to do with the installation, Captain tape is very, very good. I definitely recommend this over electrical insulating tape. I really dislike electrical insulating tape used in locomotives for installations. If you really like it, go for it. It works, it's fine, but it does sort of go off and go weird after a while, and the sort of sticky residue it gets everywhere and never comes off. I see this in locos that I get coming to me with that need repairs, replacement, all this sort of thing. Captain tape is excellent, and it's heat resistant as well. That's the main thing that you may already know, but yeah, Captain tape is heat resistant. These you can actually buy from my website as well. I do carry these guys in a little bit of stock. I've got it in 5mm and 10mm. I use the 5mm a fair bit. It's pretty good. Another thing actually that I do have now, just very, very recently, as in today, in stock on my website, are decoder testers. This is a new sort of a cheaper one I've picked up, which might be good for those who might need a decoder tester just every now and then, but you can't really justify dropping like about $70 on an ESU, $70-$80 on an ESU one. They're pretty nice, but this is $50 tester, so it's a bit more affordable. It's got everything on it. These are great for decoders that something goes wrong and you're a bit confused and you go, you want to work out, have I actually stuffed it up and ruined it? And you take the decoder out and you can plug it in, connect it all in easily here. It's got 8-pin, 6-pin, next 18, the various 21, 22-pin plugs that are out there, as well as connections just to hardwire it basically into the board. So these are really useful. They're very, very useful, and you may already have one, or have used them before, and yeah, they're excellent. So it's got a little speaker on as well on the motor, so it's all good test environment. Another really useful thing I use a fair bit is shrink tubing, and now this is very small shrink tubing. I just got my hands on this recently, and I'm probably going to try and get this for sale on my website as well, just for those who are really keen on it in some kind of lesser quantities. It comes in a pack of 50 of these. This is 0.6 millimeter shrink tube, which is very fine and nice for very fine decoder wires. And then we've got 1 mil shrink tube as well. So that's they're pretty handy. Can make things quite neat. If you've got exposed wires, you need to shrink tube things up. It's a must. Very good, very good. So this should appear on my website in the accessories section soon. I think I'll have to get some more in stock. Super glue is always good. I'm a big fan of Loctite 406 specifically. It's a nice thin consistency glue that goes off very quickly and is very strong. Super glue is always handy. You can actually glue wires into spaces and all sorts of things. Something I have seen that is useful that I haven't used yet is black tack. A lot of guys in the UK are into this, and I just got my hands on some of this recently also, and also considering selling a little bit of it on my website if people are interested, just having it available there. It's, from what I've seen, it's basically impossible to buy in Australia. I don't think anyone has it without spending like a small fortune. I got this from bought this from U-Choose over in the UK, and I've got, I think, a couple of meters of it. I think I brought in from them. But yeah, basically it's like blue tack, but more permanent. So a lot of guys over in the UK have used it to sort of stick things onto locomotives on the underneath or something, different pieces of electronics or something that, may need to be removable, may not need to be removable. Yeah, bizarre sort of things. But if you can sort of think of anything where you might want a sort of a more permanent blue tack that's a bit more substantial, then this is kind of the go. I'm yet to experiment with this, but I found it sort of in some YouTube things that I've seen over in the UK. So if you're interested, get in touch and do some more reading on it from the guys in the UK. They like it. So helpful for sort of and they've used it inside locomotives to, I think, keep speakers in place and different bits and pieces. But yeah, I guess I've got some concerns with heat and how it goes with that, and the long-term sort of stickiness, and if it goes sort of off. So we'll see how it goes. Now, a couple more things. These are actually, okay. Let's finish this up. So the last sort of tool that I use, I've got, unfortunately, these aren't made anymore, and I wish they were, because I love this Dremel, this particular Dremel stylus. It's a rechargeable Dremel, and it's sort of very small, very, very useful. And particularly the head that I've got on it, I have got some like carbide heads for milling and things like that are quite useful. I don't know what rubbish is in there at the moment, but they're quite useful. But this tool on here is probably the most I use on the Dremel. It's just a diamond disc, and don't go and buy like the Dremel brand ones or whatever. They cost an absolute fortune. I bought this, and you can buy them for like $5 or something from a really handy little tool shop that I should give a shout out to, because they are on the internet as well. They are in, I can't remember what suburb they are in, but they are around the Bankstown area of Sydney, and they are called McJing Tools, and you should be able to just sort of Google them and they should pop up. They do sort of woodworking tools and all sorts of small specialist stuff, and a lot of things kind of for Dremels and this, milling and all this kind of stuff. So they have these little diamond burr discs for like $5, and you can whack them in and they last forever, and they cut through everything. They're really good. Plastic, no worries. Metal, yeah, goes through everything. They're great. So that's a really good one if you need to do a bit of milling, particularly also these kind of things. If you're milling through die-cast chassis and stuff, these little kind of milling bits are really good too. Quite sturdy as well. So the last items I was going to talk about are actually things I haven't used again, that these are now in stock on my website. There's some accessories that I've just brought in from a supplier. So the first one is a LED resistor board. This guy's pretty tiny. It's got 1K resistors on it, so that you can connect your blue wire from the decoder, and then it's distributed along to all of the outputs, goes through the resistor, so the resistor drops it then to the appropriate level for an LED light. And you've got 8 light outputs on this board, which like dividing up the blue wire for each one, with it passing through the resistor. I'm not really saying it very well, but I think you can sort of get the idea of what's going on here. It means we don't have to have all of our individual resistors here, there, and everywhere. It makes it all clean. For more info, see my website. This is a tiny little board. This is a logic level function output amplifier board. I think I've said that all wrong. But it amplifies logic level outputs on a decoder. So you may or may not be familiar with the fact that a lot of kind of ESU and Zimo, and I think other decoders as well, other brands of decoders, they have, they'll usually have your front and rear light, and then you'll have like F1, F2, so you could, run 4 lights. And then often the case is F3 and F4, or maybe then F5 and F6 are logic level outputs. So they're not like amplified. You can't just connect up your normal resistor, LED, whatever, or, a smoke generator or something like that. You couldn't do it because it's too low voltage and not amplified output. So this little board allows those outputs to become amplified. It does the amplifying. So you connect the unamplified outputs from the decoder to this. You connect your blue wire and your black track wire to it, and then you have 4 pads to connect to create your circuit for your 2 newly amplified circuits outputs then. So this is a pretty neat little thing, very small, which is good. And the last thing, as I've been talking for too long, is these tiny little 2-pin connectors, which I've never used these kind of things before in installs. I've just wired everything up, but these could be handy, say in steam locomotives where we want to say, okay, we'll make the tender disconnectable and we can just have our pins and plug it in and off we go. That's another little accessory that could be quite handy to complement your DCC installs and installing decoders and all that sort of thing. So I'll leave it there. If there's any other tools, I guess, that you have that are your like kind of favorite tool that you'd like to share with others and put in the comments below, or get me to talk about, or get me to buy it and review it or something, I don't know. Let me know, and let me know as well if there's anything else you'd like me to cover. And thanks for watching. I'll catch you next week. Thanks. Bye.